Hi everyone. My fondest memories of growing up in the Mississauga Seventh-day Adventist Church were the time spent at the Lakeshore location. The many camping trips with the Clarks, the Lincolns, the Wildwinds, the Fords, the Stewarts, the Lawrences, the Gordons, the Skeens, and so many more adults and families that were so dedicated to the shaping of the youth in our church. I remember David Stewart waking us up in the early morning hours with his trumpet, backpacking with Mr. Clark and getting lost, even though he didn't think that we were lost, but we were definitely lost. I remember the many walkathons, though treacherous they were and torturous, they were great fun. The countless socials with my dad's voice over the megaphone, hot chocolate waiting for us in the kitchen when we came back from going out to feed the needy or collect canned goods. All of these things made us as youth excited to be a part of our church family. Pathfinders. I can't say enough about Pathfinders. Pathfinders was very much that glue that kept and bonded us together. Mr. Clark and then later Mr. Lambert, awesome leaders. Mr. Lambert, rest in peace. You were not only family to my husband and myself, but to many, an inspiration. We will miss you tremendously.
Hi everyone, I'm Philip Prescott, and I've been asked to recount some of the good times I had as a young person in the Mississauga Pathfinder Club. I vividly remember one competition, drill competition that we had. It was held in Oshawa. And all the clubs from the Toronto and surrounding area came out to this drill competition. And there was a man there who was in the army, and he was tasked to judge the competition. So the competition started, and all of the Toronto clubs and all the other clubs, they went ahead and they did their thing. And the man was not impressed. He was not impressed. But Mississauga had been working on their drill for weeks, and we had it down packed. And when we walked in there, I had all the Pathfinders line up against the wall, and I walked out in the middle of the square, and I called for them, and everybody snapped into position, and we did the best precision drill the man had seen that night, and he jumped off the stage and said, "Yes, first place!" And the whole place went crazy because people were saying, "No, there's still more people to come. How could you give them first place?" But that's what Mississauga Pathfinder did. We always had a target on our back because we were the best at what we did. For lifelong friends, Mississauga Pathfinders.
I felt I grew up in the Mississauga church. A lot of friendships and bonds were made. Fond memories are of potlucks, MV, social events, gatherings, and I especially remember Pathfinders. I recall one time we won a drill competition and we were all walking around arm in arm singing, "We are the champions." Those were really good times, happy times.
Hey, what's up, church family? Fondest memories, Mississauga Church. Socials. The socials were the bomb. You had the big march at the end with Alfred Lada. We marching around the place doing our little veggie moves, I used to love playing dog and the bone. Great. Man, the roti, Sister Lawrence, Sister Lincoln, Sister Martindale, Sister Stewart, they'd make this roti, man. It was so good. Those are the days, I think in another game we used to play, I can't remember what it was called, but it was, it would go something like this. I lost my dog on a Saturday night and I found it Sunday morning. Run, Peter, run, Peter, Peter. Well, when that run, Peter part came, the person running was being chased and beaten down. Me say the West Indian people called the police. That was so much fun, man. That was a good days.
My name is Donna Joyette. I came to Mississauga Church in the early 70s with my family. I have lots of really good memories about my time at Mississauga. I think one of the really important things was because we were such a small congregation, we as young people, and we were 13 or 14 years old, had to take a lot of responsibility, and we were responsible in a lot of cases for programming AY on Sabbath afternoons. And we would have these elaborate plays and presentations, and we weren't very good, but our parents clapped and amened and just made us feel really special about what we had done. I think a particular memory I have is I really wanted to get my sign language badge for Pathfinders, and the sweet and patient Brother Ford took the time to try to teach me the Lord's Prayer. And the Sabbath morning when I was to get up and do the Lord's Prayer for divine worship, I completely flubbed it. I didn't get anything right. And he would have been the only person who would have known that. But his was the loudest amen. And it was more about effort than it was about being perfect or, being able to hold a note. That you were just appreciated for your effort. And that safe and supportive environment, I think, is something that stayed with me my whole life. One of my funniest memories is of all of us young people being sort of corralled into the back room of the Lakeshore Church by Pastor Jurians, who was going to give us the birds and bees talk. But Pastor Jurians was from Sri Lanka, and so he chose to use the analogy of a scratchy caterpillar. And the message was a warning to us girls to sort of keep the boys at bay. Jokes for months, weeks, about this scratchy caterpillar presentation. And I think even today, if you say the word scratchy caterpillar, my sister Carmelita and I will just fall into hysterics. And I'm sure if she's listening right now, she's smiling.
So my most favorite memory, I think, of Mississauga Church, I think without doubt, is actually the socials. Down in the basement at 999 Lakeshore. Just fun times. I'm just thinking of the games now. My absolute favorite was Dog and Bone. I loved when we did that. I'm thinking of the other games, 1 and 20, 2 and 20, 3 and 4 and 5, like that game. The one with the balloon where we would run and pop the balloon and then run back to, I don't even know if it had a name or not. Or what was the other one? There was the one where we had to get in groups of, they call it a number, and you had to get a group of 3, group of 4, and whoever couldn't find a group partner, they were eliminated. Yeah, those times down at Lakeshore in the basement, it was such a family atmosphere. It was such a close-knit atmosphere. It was just fun. There was fun times as a kid and a young man growing up in those times, for sure. Those type of things, I think, bind people together and bond people together, having fun together and laughing together and just, eating together. It's all part of it. But yeah, that's one of my favorite memories of Mississauga.
So when I think about the church, what's important to me was family, and that's one of the things I learned about the church. I started going to the church when I was 12, and now I'm turning 60 next month. And I've always tried my best to look after my health, and a lot of what I've learned about looking after my health was at the church. Now, I tried my best to look after my health, keep my weight down, exercise, hydrate, and in spite of that, I developed cancer 2 years ago. But I've recovered, and I feel because of my good health, I was able to make an excellent recovery. So those are the two things that I felt was very impactful for me as a young man growing up in the church. It's all about family, and it was about being very healthy.
Pathfinders, attention! me tell you something about Brother Clark. Brother Clark is the kind of guy who expects the impossible and then gets you to deliver it. I remember, well, let's go back a few years before some of you were even born. Because now that it's happened, I mean, this is the days before everybody had a video, before the internet and everything else. And Brother Clark gives me a group of pathfinders from the Mississauga church, who the first time I asked them said left turn. Half of these people turn left and half of these people turn right. And then Brother Clark says, we have a national competition, drill competition coming up. It's in about a month, and Carl, I expect us to win it. Now, if I thought Brother Clark was crazy before, I knew he was crazy now. But let me tell you what happened. We went there was no doubt in my mind that we were going to win. First of all, we acted like we could win, because remember, this is not from the great book of antiquity. This is literally from, the battle is won before it has even begun. So we went there with that mindset, because everyone, Carl, Puff, we can't beat Puff, Carl, we can't beat Harvey, they have Brother Lick. I checked out this guy, he came to see us drill. You can tell, with all due respect, I mean, Brother Lake is soft compared with me when it comes to drills. And we knew that on that cold, almost wintry spring day, that, in my mind, there's no way that we're going to lose this. First of all, we were there early. Everybody is in formation. We're standing up in the parking lot. Everybody dropped, it appears it dropped everyone off and gone home. And no jackets, all the jackets on the side, no gloves, hard shoes, no running shoes. No, take those Jordans off. We don't do that in Pathfinders. And from the minute that all the other teams came in, all they could see is a well-rehearsed, cool, ideal-looking Pathfinders striking terror in their heart. To the point where some other guys tried some psychologically, I think, was it Bancroft Lopez started giving us, starting some trash talking. And it just said, Pathfinders, do not laugh. We're disciplined. Don't laugh at this group next to us. Pathfinders, don't laugh. And then, Pathfinders, laugh. And we let out such an uproar, mostly from tension, cold, and everything else, that from that second on, everybody knew that we were going to win this. Once we got inside, it was so interesting. We did our routine, and the whole thing about doing the routine was to do it so quickly and so fast in such unbelievably rapid cadence. Left turn, right turn, about turn, with things, left and right turn, oblique. Man, the guys were confused, not our group. They couldn't believe that with the rapidity and the accuracy and the precision of it. And we there, and I'm just waiting to think, oh, you know what, I didn't realize because it was a choreographed, I don't have an ending. So while giving directions, I walked over to the door of the auditorium, opened it, and said, left, turn, right to the auditorium door, march! We marched and sang single file. I held the door open, and we walked out of the place. A shocked silence, because we were outside. And then, behind the door, we huddled by the door, we could hear applause in the auditorium. After that, I went home, because I knew, as Brother Clark knew, that once we got everybody ready and on the same page, there's no doubt in our mind that we're going to win it. Now, if you knew, I didn't at the time realize that this demure, young, soft-spoken man, white man with a red hair with a Guyanese accent, I didn't realize that this man was a revolutionary who they tried to get out of Guyana in order to save his life. But that is Mr. Clark for you, a force of nature, a man who gave you a directive and expected it to be done, but also could go around, galvanize, recruited, got everybody together. When I say everybody together, created the Canadian Pathfinder just space to be what it was in that day. I'm not sure what it's like now, but I will tell you something, that if you're going to battle, if you're going to war, Brother Clark is one guy that you want on your side, because he's got your back. Greetings, guys, from sunny St. Kitts.
Happy 50th anniversary, Mississauga Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's Mikey Lincoln. Now, I could try to act all grown up and mature, but what's the point? Your family, and you know better. I remember when our Lincoln family was part of the group founding the Mississauga SDA Church 50 years ago. My parents, Nora Lincoln and Richard Lincoln, along with my sisters, Sharon, Carol, and Dawn, were able to witness the evolution of this congregation from renting spaces down on Cawthorne Road, then on to the location at St. Luke's, and then eventually to the location on Lakeshore Drive. It was a wonderful time in our lives, with this congregation being the center of our universe in so many ways. Sabbath school was a time to see our dear friends and learn from our very, very patient Sabbath school teachers. I'm sorry. Watching our parents become part of the fabric of this church, both in ministry and in leaders in music, was inspirational. And there always seemed to be an adult role model around every corner that you could talk to and interact with. Our MB meetings on Saturday nights, those were wonderful. And Pathfinders on Sundays were such an important part of our childhood. So many camping trips, so many adventures, and the crazy stories that still make us laugh decades later. The impact that this church congregation, this community has had on our lives and development remains profound and indelible. The foundational support, the instruction, the relationships that were forged have lasted a lifetime and beyond. The adults in this church were respected and occasionally feared as if they were our own parents. And our cohorts and friends, they were loved as if they were our own siblings. For us, the Lincolns, and for our fellow contemporaries from back in those times of the Jurassic Age, this Mississauga Seventh-day Adventist Church has always been and shall forever remain our family and our home. Congratulations and God bless.
Happy anniversary, Mississauga. Happy 50th Mississauga Seventh-day Adventist Church, and congratulations. Fond memories of Mississauga is going to be number one. I love David Clark and all the investment time that he put into the youth. That was amazing. Also, I'm going to say to my parents, my mom and dad, they're part of the church. Thanks, Mom, Dad, for all the stuff that you did for your kids, me especially. If y'all don't know, my mother is a visionary. I love that woman, a visionary. She could see things in you that you can't even see yourself. So thank you for the investment that you put into me as part of Mississauga Church. David Clark, thank you a lot. Happy anniversary, everybody.
In reflecting back on being a member of the early years of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Mississauga, there's a few things that come to mind. One is in particular my father and the efforts, the dedication, the strong will to make the church happen. This was his life. He spent day and night wanting it to happen, working with others to make it happen. And where things are at now is a direct result of the efforts of those who've gone before. When the church was a few members, 25, 30, 40 members on Lakeshore Road, and prior to that on Dixie Road. That's a strong part of what I remember growing up is my father's dedication, along with a number of other families, to make the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Mississauga a reality. Another thing I remember as a child in the church, coming here from St. Vincent in 1970, and living down on the in Port Credit, Lakeview area, as pretty much the only black family in the neighborhood, and what all that entails for young children growing up in that environment, and that church was safety. You didn't have to worry about watching your back or being bullied or anything like that. Church was a safe place for us. It was where we could be free as children, interact with one another, and be happy in that environment. So, it's where things are now. Really is a direct result of the efforts of those who have gone before, and it's important, I think, that those efforts be remembered, and those things that seem minor now that you have were once prided upon by my parents, by the parents of many of the people who attend the church still. And those things should be remembered. Those things should be celebrated, along with just the fact that the church is 50 years now in the making. Those 50 years certainly did not come easily in a lot of instances, and pride should be taken in where things are at now, and in those who've gone before who have helped to make things where they are now. Thank you.